The sky was filled with shadows. Huge alien warships, dark as mountains, hung above Earth's atmosphere. Their edges glowed with strange blue fire. Entire cities looked up, frozen. Billions of eyes watched the impossible sight. Creatures from the stars, now here, circling the fragile world below. Then came the voice. A low, cold broadcast rang through every device, every screen, every speaker on Earth. Humans, you are weak. Your bodies are fragile. Your species has no right to resist. Surrender, and your extinction will be painless. Silence followed. For a long moment, humanity held its breath. Mothers clutched their children. Soldiers stared at their rifles, suddenly feeling very small. The enemy above was vast, unstoppable, ancient. The aliens believed the fight was already over. But in one small command bunker beneath the smoking city of Warsaw, a human soldier leaned close to his commander and whispered, almost with a smile, "They don't know what we are." The world cracked apart in hours. Alien drones rained fire from the skies, glassing highways, tearing buildings into rubble. Their weapons were perfect, their shields unbreakable. Human defenses collapsed like paper. Entire armies vanished in flashes of blue light. The invaders laughed. Fragile flesh cannot stand against us. And yet, humans did not kneel. In New York, a fire crew who had lost their trucks picked up axes and rushed into burning ruins, dragging survivors out from under collapsing towers. In Delhi, unarmed students threw bricks at alien patrols, slowing them down long enough for children to escape. In Sao Paulo, a single wounded sniper hid on a rooftop, holding the line against a swarm of drones for 2 full hours before he fell. Everywhere, small sparks of defiance burned. Sparks the aliens did not understand. Inside the alien flagship, a council of warlords studied live feeds of the invasion. They laughed at the broken cities. These creatures are frail. Their bones snap easily. Their machines are crude. Their weapons cannot pierce even our training armor. One scientist hissed in agreement. They are not built for war. They are soft. Their lifespans are short. Their minds panic under stress. They are inefficient life. But another voice interrupted. An admiral, his sharp eyes fixed on one grainy feed. It showed humans in a ruined street, carrying their wounded through fire, refusing to leave them behind. He frowned. Then why do they keep fighting? No one in the chamber answered. On Earth, the nightmare grew. Millions were gone. Governments fell silent. The alien broadcast repeated again and again, like a drumbeat of doom. Surrender. Your pain can end. And yet, across the battered planet, people gathered in ruins, whispering to each other. Farmers, miners, engineers, teachers, ordinary humans with no armor, no shields, no fleets, looked to the sky and swore through broken teeth, "We will not stop." One soldier, blood on his face, spoke into a cracked radio. His voice shook, but his words carried power. They think we are weak. They think we break easy, but we do not break. Not in the way they think. We bend, we bleed, but we stand back up. Tell them. Tell everyone. Humanity fights. That message spread. It leaped from bunker to bunker, across surviving satellites, through makeshift transmitters and hidden radios, across every language and every border. The same truth echoed. Humanity will fight. The first strike came in the ruins of Warsaw. A squad of only 20 humans, armed with scavenged rifles and homemade explosives, faced an alien patrol of armored giants. The aliens sneered, their weapons humming with lethal light. "Fragile prey," one said. "This will be brief." But the humans did not wait. They charged. Explosions ripped through the street as they used the broken city itself as a weapon. Collapsing walls, igniting fuel lines, luring the aliens into choke points. It was madness. It was suicide. And yet, when the smoke cleared, the impossible had happened. Half the alien patrol lay destroyed. Their perfect armor cracked. their bodies burning. The survivors fled. Aliens, flood. The warlords aboard the flagship stared at the report in shock. This was not in their calculations. A species this weak should not be capable of forcing even a single retreat. The captured feed replayed again and again. Fragile humans, broken and bleeding, screaming as they rushed into certain death, yet somehow winning. The alien admiral spoke again, his voice heavy. They are not like the others we conquered. They fight when they should fall. They endure pain beyond reason. They do not fear death. His eyes narrowed. We thought them fragile. Perhaps we were wrong. On Earth, in the smoking ruins, the surviving soldier of that squad crawled from the rubble. His body was torn, his breathing shallow. Yet he raised a hand, clutching the broken flag of his people. And with his last strength, he planted it into the cracked ground. Around him, other survivors rose, bloodied but alive, staring at the flag fluttering weakly in the smoke. And in that moment, something shifted. Humanity's story was no longer about fragile bodies. It was about relentless will. The war was only beginning. Night fell heavy over Earth. The cities were ruins. Fires burned on every horizon. The air carried smoke, dust, and the bitter taste of loss. But somewhere inside those ruins, 20 human soldiers waited in silence. Their rifles were scratched and bent. Ammunition was scarce. They carried homemade explosives wrapped in duct tape, grenades built from pipes, and blades scavenged from broken steel. They looked exhausted. Their uniforms were ripped, stained with blood and ash. Above them, alien drones floated like vultures. Red eyes scanned the streets, searching for survivors. Somewhere in the distance, a strange alien engine roared, shaking the ground. The squad leader, Captain Marave, pressed her back against a wall and whispered, "They're coming." And in the broken shadows of Warsaw's ruins, humanity prepared its first true strike. The aliens moved with confidence. Their patrol was massive, gleaming armored warriors, each standing taller than any man. Plasma weapons glowed in their hands, humming with deadly power. Above them, drones flitted like watchful ghosts. To them, this was routine. Another sweep, another extermination. The humans would scatter like rats. But tonight would be different. From their hiding place, the squad watched. Their breathing slowed, hearts thundered. Death loomed only meters away. One soldier, young and trembling, whispered, "We can't beat them." Mara's voice cut sharp through the fear. "They think we are fragile. They think we'll run. Show them wrong." She raised her hand, the signal, and the humans leaped into action. The first blast tore through the night. A hidden charge, buried under rubble, detonated beneath the alien patrol. The ground erupted in fire and smoke. Shrapnel sliced through armor. The aliens stumbled, caught in the explosion's fury. Before they could recover, humans poured out from the ruins, firing rifles and throwing explosives. Bullets sparked uselessly against alien shields. Plasma bolts answered, vaporizing stone and flesh alike. Humans fell, the air filled with screams and fire. But still, they kept charging. They used the ruins themselves as weapons. Walls toppled onto alien squads. Traps hidden in burned-out cars exploded at the perfect moment. Narrow alleys forced aliens into choke points where grenades could do real damage. It wasn't precision. It wasn't technology. It was desperation. And it worked. One alien commander roared, his armor cracked from the blast. He stared at these fragile enemies in disbelief. They rush us without fear. They bleed and they laugh. They should be broken. But the humans weren't broken. They fought like fire. They fought like wolves cornered, tearing, biting, refusing to let go. Every time an alien fought them finished, another human rose from the dust, screaming, charging, ready to die if it meant one more alien fell. The aliens had faced countless species before, cold, efficient enemies with logic and order. But never this. Never a species that fought with chaos, rage, and sacrifice. In less than 20 minutes, half the alien patrol was destroyed. The remaining soldiers, towering and armored, began to retreat, retreating from prey they had once mocked as fragile. Above, the drones flickered in confusion. Their programming had no answer for this madness. The impossible had happened. Humans had forced an alien retreat. On the alien flagship, warlords stared at the live feed in silence. One slammed his fist onto the table. This is not war. This is suicide. And yet, they win. Another hissed in disbelief. They cannot even pierce our armor with bullets. They should have no chance. The admiral who had doubted before spoke again, calm but grim. Chance? No. Will. They throw their lives away for victory. That is their weapon. He leaned forward, eyes cold. We underestimated them. Back on Earth, the battle's smoke cleared. Only 7 humans survived from the 20 who had gone in. Their bodies were broken, their wounds deep, but they still stood. Captain Murray dragged herself up from the rubble, her arm bleeding, her voice hoarse. She raised her rifle high and shouted into the night. They bleed like us. They can fall. The words echoed through cracked radios, across surviving networks, spreading faster than fire. Survivors heard it. Soldiers heard it. Children hiding in bunkers heard it. And for the first time since the invasion began, humanity felt something stronger than fear. Hope. The aliens had called humanity fragile. But now they had seen the truth. Fragile bodies break. But humanity's will does not. The war was only just beginning. The alien laboratory was silent, cold, and clean. Rows of glass chambers lined the walls, each filled with strange liquids that glowed faintly in the dark. Shadows of machines moved above like vultures circling prey. On metal tables, humans lay restrained, captured survivors taken from the battlefield. Their breathing was shallow, their faces pale. In the center of the chamber stood an alien scientist. Tall, thin, with skin like polished stone, his 4 black eyes glistened with cruel curiosity. He looked at the prisoners not as living beings, but as puzzles to be solved. He spoke softly, almost with amusement. Fragile, weak, breakable, yet stubborn. Let us see what makes them cling to life. The first test began. A young soldier was strapped into a chair, metal wires piercing his skin. The alien adjusted controls, and currents of pain surged through the human's body. Muscles convulsed, bones cracked. The scientist watched, expecting collapse. But collapse never came. The soldier screamed, yes, but he kept breathing, his eyes burning with hatred even as his body shook with torment. The scientist tilted his head, fascinated, curious. Their tolerance exceeds projections. He turned the dial higher. The pain grew unbearable. The soldier bit down until blood filled his mouth, yet still refused to break. And when the session finally ended, the scientist leaned close to whisper, "You should not have survived." And yet, you did. Days passed. More humans were tested. Heat that could melt metal. Yet the humans endured, shielding each other with their bodies. Poisonous gases, yet humans coughed, choked, and somehow adapted their breathing. Starvation, yet when food was finally thrown into the cell, one man gave his share to a child, whispering, "You eat. I'll last longer." The aliens wrote data, shocked at every result. One assistant muttered nervously, "Their bodies are weak, but their minds resist control. They suffer, but they learn. They adapt." The lead scientist narrowed his eyes. No species adapts under torment. Pain destroys. Yet these creatures, pain teaches them. In one corner of the lab, a soldier named Eric lay chained. He had been tortured daily, his body broken again and again. But with every session, he grew sharper. The scientist noticed. His movements slowed, but his eyes no longer held fear. They burned with something different, something stronger. You learn while you suffer, the alien whispered. You are using torment as training. Eric spat blood on the floor and rasped, every day you hurt me, you teach me how to endure more tomorrow. The alien froze. For the first time, in centuries of conquest, he felt unease. Meanwhile, in the holding cells, whispers spread. Captured humans passed messages, scratched into walls, murmured through cracked lips. They spoke of survival, of resistance, of hope. They think pain will break us, one woman said. But pain is what we've always known. Hunger, war, fire, disease. We were forged in it long before they came. Another nodded. They don't understand. We don't just endure suffering. We grow from it. And in the darkness of their cages, broken bodies began to sit straighter. Weak hands clenched into fists. Fragile humans turned torment into fuel. On the alien flagship, a council reviewed the data. Charts showed impossible numbers. Humans surviving longer than expected, recovering faster than models predicted, even resisting alien drugs designed to shatter minds. One commander hissed, "This should not be. Their biology is inferior." The scientist's voice trembled as he replied, "It is not their biology that defies us. It is something else, something we cannot measure. Will, determination." Another scoffed, "Will is nothing. Will cannot stop plasma fire." But the admiral who had watched humans from the start leaned forward, eyes grim. "Perhaps not, but it can make them rise again, and again, and again, until our fire means nothing." Back in the lab, Eric's chains rattled. The alien scientist stepped closer, injecting a new serum meant to collapse his nervous system. Pain racked the soldier's body. His vision blurred. His heart slowed. But Eric did not scream this time. He gritted his teeth, forcing a smile through the agony. His whisper was hoarse, but clear. "You can break my body, but you will never break my will." The scientist staggered back, shaken. For the first time in his long life, he felt fear. Fear of a species he had once mocked as fragile. The experiments continued, but the outcome was already written. The aliens had discovered something they could not quantify, something no machine could explain. Humanity's relentless will to survive, to suffer, to adapt, and to rise stronger each time. And deep in their cells, the prisoners whispered the truth to one another. They see fragile bodies. They don't see the fire inside, and that fire will burn them all. The galaxy had no idea what it had unleashed. The war was only just beginning. The stars were silent. In the blackness of space, a single human warship drifted, scarred, battered, half its hull missing. It was called the Resolute. Once a cargo hauler, it had been rebuilt into a warship with scrap metal and desperation. Its engines sputtered. Its weapons were outdated. Its crew was tired and afraid. And in the distance, cutting across the void, an alien fleet advanced. Dozens of gleaming vessels, perfect and deadly, each one large enough to wipe out entire cities. Their lights glowed cold blue, steady and calm, as though victory was already guaranteed. The humans had one ship. The aliens had an armada. The odds were impossible. Inside the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Alina Stroud stared at the tactical display. Her hands gripped the railing, knuckles white. Around her, the crew whispered prayers or held on to lucky charms. Some cried quietly. All knew the truth. They would not live to see dawn. And yet Stroud's voice was steady when she gave the order. "Burn the engines. Let's show them fire." The Resolute roared to life. Its engines screamed, pushing the fragile ship forward at reckless speed. The hull groaned, metal plates rattling, bolts tearing loose. The crew braced as alarms blared. The ship wasn't built for this. But humans were not built for space either, yet here they were. The alien fleet adjusted calmly. Their weapons locked on. Plasma cannons charged. They expected the human ship to turn, to flee, to retreat into the safety of its planet's gravity well. But the Resolute did not retreat. It charged. The first alien salvo struck. Blue fire cut through the void, smashing into the Resolute. Armor peeled away. Decks collapsed. Entire sections of the ship vented into space. Dozens of crew were lost in seconds. Still, the ship did not stop. Captain Stroud's voice carried over the comms, calm as steel. "Hold the course. If we burn together." The crew answered, voices shaking but proud. For Earth. The Resolute reached knife range. Its outdated cannons fired, spitting shells that sparked harmlessly against alien shields. The aliens laughed across their comms. Primitive weapons. Futile. But the humans had never planned to win with cannons. Inside the Resolute's cargo bay, teams of engineers armed with explosives and cutting torches readied themselves. The ship wasn't just a warship. It was a delivery system. They had turned their own bodies into weapons. The Resolute slammed into the side of the first alien cruiser. Alarms shrieked on both vessels as metal screamed against metal. The humans didn't stop. They boarded. The battle inside was chaos. Humans with rifles, axes, even bare fists stormed through the alien corridors. They moved with reckless fury, ignoring wounds, ignoring death, fighting only to carve deeper into the enemy ship. Explosives detonated behind them, turning passageways into burning tombs. The aliens were trained, armored, and disciplined. They should have crushed the fragile invaders instantly. But nothing prepared them for humans who charged without fear, who fought as if death itself was meaningless. One alien commander cried out in disbelief as a wounded human, bleeding from a chest wound, still pulled himself forward just to ignite an explosive at the alien's feet. They will not stop. Back on the Resolute, the hull shuddered violently. Fires spread through the bridge. The life support systems collapsed. The crew coughed, gasping for air. Captain Stroud knew the end was near, but her voice did not waver. "Detonate the reserves." The ship's reactor overloaded, and with a blinding flash, the Resolute became a star of fire in the void. The explosion tore through the alien cruiser it had rammed, splitting it in half. Shockwaves rippled outward, damaging nearby ships. The void burned with human defiance. Silence followed. When the light faded, 2 alien ships were gone, erased by a single fragile vessel that had refused to run. The alien fleet held position, stunned. For the first time in centuries, they had seen prey charge the predator. On the flagship, the admiral watched the reports. His face was unreadable, his 4 black eyes fixed on the wreckage of both human and alien ships. Finally, he spoke, voice heavy with something his officers had never heard before: unease. "They fear no death. They would rather burn than bow. This is not strategy. This is not logic. This is will." He looked into the void where the Resolute had vanished and whispered, almost to himself, "If more of them fight like this, then the galaxy should tremble." Back on Earth, the story spread. Survivors heard of the Resolute. Whispers carried across bunkers, across static-filled radios, across the ruins of cities. They faced an armada with one ship. They burned the void with fire. They showed the galaxy humanity does not retreat. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with defiance. The aliens had called them fragile, but now the void itself carried proof. Humanity's will burn brighter than any star. And this was only the beginning. The world was burning. From orbit, Earth looked broken. Oceans choked with ash, skies scared black with smoke, continents glowing with the fire of ruined cities. The invasion had left scars that would last for centuries. Billions were gone. The alien broadcast echoed once more, carried across ruined satellites and captured comms. The voice was calm, final, certain of its victory. "Fragile humans, you are finished. Surrender. Your resistance has cost you everything." But under the ash and rubble, survivors stirred. In New York, skyscrapers lay toppled like fallen giants. Streets were rivers of fire. And yet, inside the ruins of a subway tunnel, a group of civilians huddled in the dark. Their faces were smeared with soot, their stomachs empty. They had no weapons, no soldiers, only fear. But then a little girl pointed upward, through the cracked ceiling, where a tattered human flag fluttered in the smoke. She whispered, "We're still here." The others followed her gaze. In silence, their spines straightened. Hope flickered. Across the planet, scattered bands of survivors did the same. In Cairo, engineers used scrap metal from fallen buildings to forge makeshift armor and blades. In Moscow, miners from the Ural Mountains turned their drills into weapons, carrying them into the fight. In Mexico City, farmers armed themselves with hunting rifles, fighting not for victory, but for one more day of survival. Humanity was broken, but not bowed. The aliens could not understand. From the orbiting warships, commanders studied the wreckage of Earth. By all logic, the war was over. The humans had lost their armies, their cities, their fleets. They should have surrendered. They should have begged for mercy. But still, every day, new reports arrived. Ambushes in the mountains, traps in the ruins, human guerrillas striking then vanishing like ghosts. One commander hissed in frustration. Why do they resist? Their planet is dead. Their future is gone. They fight with sticks against fire. The admiral's eyes narrowed. Because they are not fighting for survival. They are fighting because surrender is unthinkable. Beneath the shattered ruins of London, in a bunker deep underground, Captain Moravet, survivor of the Warsaw Strike, stood before a group of survivors. Her body was scared, her left arm bound in makeshift metal braces. Her voice was harsh, but strong. They call us fragile. They think Earth is ashes, that we are broken. But ashes are not the end. Ashes are where fire begins again. The bunker fell silent. Men, women, and children stared at her with wide, hollow eyes. And slowly, one by one, they nodded. The next night, humanity struck back. Not with fleets, not with armies, but with cunning and fury. In Paris, survivors used sewer tunnels to plant explosives beneath an alien patrol. The blast ripped through the streets, killing dozens. In Beijing, children threw Molotov cocktails from rooftops, igniting alien drones as they swept below. In Nairobi, wounded soldiers painted their faces with ash and led a raid on an alien supply depot, stealing weapons they barely knew how to fire. The attacks were small, insignificant by the scale of war, but they were endless, and each time, humans shouted the same words. We are not finished. On the alien flagship, unease spread. Reports piled up, losses mounted, and though the numbers were small, the pattern was unmistakable. Humans would not stop. They are not soldiers, one alien officer snarled. They are farmers, children, cripples, yet they fight like armies. The admiral's gaze was heavy as stone. Perhaps that is their strength. An army can be destroyed. But how do you destroy an entire people who refuse to kneel? Back on Earth, fires burned through the ruins of Sao Paulo. Amid the smoke, a boy no older than 12 knelt beside the body of his fallen father. Tears streaked his soot-stained face. His small hands shook as he picked up the rifle left beside the corpse. He stood, shoulders trembling, the weight of the weapon almost too much to bear. But his eyes were steady. He whispered the words his father had told him before dying. Never stop fighting. And then he walked into the fire. The aliens declared Earth conquered, but Earth itself refused to agree. The planet was covered in ashes. Its people were starving, scattered, hunted. By every measure, humanity was finished. And yet, in the ruins, fragile bodies rose again and again. Farmers became warriors. Children became soldiers. Hope itself became a weapon. The aliens thought Earth was dead. But Earth was not dead. Earth was waiting. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The alien warship drifted above Earth like a god of steel. Its hull was flawless, shining silver under the dim glow of the ruined planet. Plasma batteries glowed faint blue, ready to incinerate anything below. For months, it had rained fire on human cities, erasing armies and civilians alike. Inside the wreckage of an old skyscraper, hidden beneath twisted metal and ash, a band of human survivors watched it with hungry eyes. They were not soldiers anymore. They were scavengers, hunters, survivors. But tonight, they would attempt the impossible. Their leader, Captain Marave, scared and limping from old wounds, whispered to her team, "We are going inside that ship, and we are taking it." The plan was madness. Alien ships were impregnable fortresses, designed to keep all enemies out. Their walls were alive with sensors. Their shields were thought to be unbreakable. Even other alien empires had never captured one intact. But humans were not like other species. They didn't care about rules. They didn't care about what was impossible. Where logic said no, desperation said yes. The operation began at midnight. A group of humans, covered in ash to mask their heat signatures, crept across the ruins toward the ship's docking bay. Above them, drones patrolled. Alien searchlights cut across the rubble. The humans moved like shadows, crawling through sewage pipes, climbing over shattered rebar, hiding every time. The sky glowed with alien scanners. One wrong move meant instant death. But somehow, they'd reached the ship's underside. Mara pressed her hand against the cold metal hull and whispered, "Now." Engineers planted crude explosives, homemade charges packed with stolen alien plasma cores. The ground shook with the blast. A section of the hull ripped open. The impossible had begun. The humans poured inside. Alien corridors stretched before them, gleaming and sterile, pulsing with strange blue light. The air smelled sharp, metallic, almost alive. The first alien guards appeared, towering in armor. They raised plasma rifles, ready to slaughter the intruders. But the humans were faster. Grenades rolled across the floor. Explosions lit the corridors. Fragile humans rushed forward, wielding scavenged weapons, fighting like demons. The aliens fired back, cutting down attackers by the dozen. Yet more humans kept coming. For every one who fell, another picked up their weapon and charge. It wasn't strategy. It was madness. And it worked. Hours turned into chaos. The humans moved deeper, using every trick they knew. They sabotaged power lines with water. They jammed alien comms with stolen radios. They turned the very design of the ship against its makers, collapsing blast doors to trap alien squads inside. And all the while, they learned. Every console hacked, every weapon stolen, every alien corpse examined. Humans absorbed knowledge at a terrifying pace. What had taken other species centuries to master, humans began to copy in days. One engineer, bleeding from a chest wound, laughed as he rewired an alien rifle. "They think we're fragile," he gasped. "Let's see how fragile this weapon feels in our hands." He pulled the trigger, and the corridor burned with alien fire, now turned against its owners. On the alien flagship, panic spread. Reports streamed in. Sector 7 breached. Primary engines offline. Humans inside the reactor chamber. The warlord slammed his fists against the table. "Impossible. They cannot take a warship." But the admiral shook his head slowly. His voice was grim. They should not be able to. And yet, they are. In the heart of the captured ship, Marave stood before the alien command chair. Her uniform was torn, her body burned, but her eyes blazed with fire. Behind her, the few surviving humans stood in silence, bloody but victorious. Mara lowered herself into the alien captain's chair. For a moment, the ship resisted, lights flickering, systems snarling against her intrusion. Then, slowly, the displays bent to her will. The ship obeyed. When the stolen warship rose above Earth's atmosphere, the galaxy changed forever. For the first time, humanity held alien technology not as scavengers, but as masters. The ship, once a symbol of alien domination, now roared with human defiance. From the surface, survivors looked up and cheered as blue alien fire turned against its creators, burning drones from the sky. A voice carried across every human radio frequency, clear and proud. "This is Captain Marave. We have taken their ship. Earth still fights." On the alien flagship, silence fell. The admiral rose slowly, his gaze heavy. "We thought them fragile. We thought their will meaningless. But they learn. They adapt. They endure. And now, they turn our own power against us." His officers shifted uneasily, fear creeping into their voices. If they can take one ship, how many more will they take? The admiral's 4 black eyes narrowed. Enough to change everything. For the first time, the tide had shifted. Humanity no longer fought only with sticks and fire. They now wielded the weapons of their enemy. The galaxy had underestimated them, and soon it would pay the price. The council chamber was silent. Admirals, warlords, and strategists of the conquering fleet sat in shadow, their many eyes fixed on the hologram of Earth. Flames still scared the planet, but something had changed. A human warship now orbited the world. Once theirs, now stolen. It was impossible. It was unthinkable. But it had happened. And worse, it was not the last. Reports arrived like a storm. Outpost 12 destroyed. Mining facility taken. 3 more ships lost. At first, the commanders thought it was sabotage or chance. But the pattern became clear. Humans were not just fighting back. They were adapting, learning, spreading. Like a disease, one warlord slammed his clawed hand onto the table. They were supposed to break. Their planet is ashes, their bodies fragile, their fleets gone. Why do they fight still? The admiral's voice was low, cold. Because they are not fighting for survival. They are fighting to destroy us. Across the galaxy, whispers began. On conquered worlds, alien soldiers muttered of humans who never stopped coming. Farmers turned into killers. Children carried rifles larger than their arms. Entire villages burned themselves rather than kneel. To the alien soldiers, it was no longer war. It was horror. They began to call humanity by a new name. The Relentless Ones. In the ruins of Earth, Captain Marave studied the stolen warship's systems. Her engineers worked without rest, skin gray from ash, eyes hollow from sleepless nights. They were exhausted, broken, but they kept going. Every day, they tore apart alien technology, rewired it, rebuilt it with human stubbornness. Plasma weapons were mounted on trucks. Alien shields were strapped to tanks. Even their medical pods, built for different biology, were hacked to heal human wounds. The humans didn't care if the machines screamed when forced to obey. They only cared that they worked. Mara whispered as she stared at the glowing ship's core. "They thought we were weak. Let's show them what weakness can become when it refuses to die." And soon, the galaxy saw. Human raids spread beyond Earth. Small ships, barely held together with scrap and alien tech, slipped through the void. They attacked fuel stations, ambushed patrols, hijacked freighters. Each time, the pattern was the same. Overwhelming alien firepower should have destroyed them. But it never did. The humans always came back. Scared, burned, limping, but back. One alien captain, shaken after losing 3 crews to human raids, whispered to his officers, "They are not soldiers. They are not armies. They are something else. You kill them, and they rise. You crush them, and they crawl from the dust. You take their children, and their children bite like wolves." The fear spread higher. In the great capital of the alien empire, civilians whispered rumors in hushed voices, stories of fragile bipeds with burning eyes, who fought with nothing but sticks and rage, and still tore down war machines. Merchants refused to trade near human space. Colonists begged for extra garrisons. Children of the empire woke screaming from nightmares of the Relentless Ones. The Empire had conquered 100 worlds, but only humanity made them afraid. Back on Earth, the resistance gathered. Under the shadow of broken cities, humans lit fires. They told stories of victories, of stolen ships, of alien defeats. Each story grew larger, louder, brighter. Hope became myth. Myth became belief. Belief became power. A boy no older than 16 stood before a crowd, holding up a salvaged alien rifle. His voice cracked as he shouted, "They call us fragile. But who bleeds now? Who hides from us? Who fears us? Not humanity." The crowd roared. Even the children shouted. In orbit, the stolen warship broadcast a signal across the stars. It was short, simple, and terrifying. A single human voice. "We are not finished." And every alien who heard it felt a shiver crawl down their spine. In the council chamber, the alien admiral sat in silence after hearing the transmission. One officer whispered, his voice trembling, "They will never stop, will they?" The admiral's eyes narrowed, unblinking. "No, they will come. They will keep coming. They are fragile, but their will is stronger than steel." He paused, the weight of truth heavy in his words. "They are humanity, and if we cannot break them soon, they will break us." The galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans were not the weakest species. Humans were not the most fragile. Humans were the most relentless, and relentless was far more dangerous than strong. The alien empire stretched across the stars. It had ruled for 1,000 years, crushing rivals, enslaving species, burning worlds into ash. Its fleets were countless, its armies endless, its technology unmatched. But for the first time in history, it trembled, because the humans were coming. The War Council gathered in the Empire's capital. Holograms filled the chamber, each one showing disaster. Station lost, fleet destroyed, border worlds falling. Everywhere, reports were the same. Humans striking again and again, like fire spreading through dry grass. At first, the Empire laughed at them. Fragile bipeds, small and weak, clinging to a ruined planet. Nothing more than pests. But pests had become predators. And predators had become monsters. It began with one stolen warship, then another, then dozens. Human engineers worked like madmen, tearing apart alien tech, rebuilding it with raw instinct. Where other species studied for centuries, humans improvised in weeks. The Empire's own weapons turned against them. Alien plasma cannons mounted on human hulls. Alien shields reforged into human armor. Alien codes cracked, twisted, broken. Every victory gave humanity more weapons. Every defeat only made them stronger. They were no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to win. From Earth's orbit, the human fleet rose. A patchwork armada of stolen ships, scarred freighters, and alien cruisers flown by human hands. Engines howled, weapons glowed, and at the front stood the captured flagship. Its alien insignia burned away, replaced with a single human word: humanity. At its command chair sat Captain Mara Vey, scared and unyielding. Her voice carried across the fleet. "They thought we were finished. They thought Earth was dead. But Earth is not dead. Earth is coming for them." The fleet roared forward. The Empire's defense line formed, 1,000 ships strong. Gleaming, perfect, unstoppable. At first, the humans were outnumbered, outgunned, outmatched. But numbers did not matter. The first human strike tore through the enemy line, weapons blazing. The second wave rammed alien vessels, crews willing to sacrifice themselves if it meant one more victory. The third hacked enemy comms, turning confusion into panic. Alien captains screamed orders, but their fleets collapsed into chaos. Against every law of war, every line of logic, the fragile ones pushed through. And still they came. Every ship burning, every pilot bleeding, every soldier refusing to fall. The aliens whispered in terror, "They do not stop. They do not stop." On the Empire's capital world, the sky lit with fire. The human fleet descended, burning through defenses, breaking lines, shattering walls. For the first time in history, the Empire's home was under siege. Alien civilians stared upward, frozen in disbelief. The conquerors of the galaxy, on their knees, and the voices of humans thundered through the comms. We are not fragile. We are not broken. We are humanity. And we are relentless. At the palace, the alien emperor stood before his council. His hands trembled, his voice a whisper. They were never supposed to reach us. No one ever has. An advisor spoke, fear cracking his tone. No fleet can stop them. No weapon can break them. They do not surrender, even in death. Emperor, they are here. The chamber doors shook with distant explosions. The Empire's walls were falling. And then, silence. In the ruined throne room, Captain Marave walked forward. Her uniform was torn, her arm bound in steel braces, but her gaze was fire. Behind her, human soldiers, scared, burned, unyielding, stood tall. The Emperor sank to his knees. Mara's voice was steady, sharp as steel. You saw fragile bodies. You saw weakness. But you never saw our will. That was your mistake. The Emperor dared not speak. Mara raised her hand. The human flag, scared, tattered, but unbroken, was planted at the heart of the Empire. From today, she declared, humanity kneels to no one. The galaxy listened. For centuries, the Empire had ruled without fear. But now, every world knew. A new power had risen. A power that could not be broken, could not be stopped, could not be tamed. They were fragile. They were mortal. They bled more than any other. But they never gave up. And that made them unstoppable. The aliens had called humanity fragile. But fragile things bend. Fragile things endure. Fragile things survive. And when fragile things rise, they become unbreakable. The Empire had learned too late. The galaxy would never forget. Because humanity had arrived. And humanity would never kneel.